You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about the impact of other people on our mental health. This week we read When the Behavior of Others Negatively Affects Clients' Mental Health, published in Counseling Today 2021. And you and I are thinking about not just clients, but we're thinking about ourselves, supervisees, our clients also. One of the first points that the article made was that you really need to look at the whole picture.
Right. I think something that I don't do actually in a supervisee interview, and maybe I'll start doing it now, but is we don't know who they are outside of wanting to be a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk a lot about theory. We talk a lot about just different things that are important as far as ethics and things like that, like to see if we're a good fit. But very rarely do I say, so who's at your house? Where do you live?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think the way that I've done that over time has changed. The way that you meet a new supervisee, has it changed over time? I think sometimes it feels a little bit, and sometimes it is, like a job interview.
Mm-hmm.
But the relationship you have with a supervisee is not that of an employer and an employee. So then the questions need to be changed. Mm-hmm. So what questions, you said maybe you're going to rethink that a little bit. What are some questions do you think that, thinking about this differently, you might add to your first meeting or discussion with this potential supervisee?
I can see myself being maybe a little bit more open about, maybe I would disclose some of my own things, my marriage and kiddos and things like that. I usually don't start off with that, but maybe I would. And maybe that would leave a door open to, like, I could phrase it as like, where are you in life right now? Like, what are you doing? And kind of make it more conversational and maybe take a little bit of the clinical piece out.
Yeah. I think I would leave the clinical piece in. When you're just naming off those questions, I thought some of those questions I don't want to answer.
Right. You don't want to tell them.
Right. So then that makes me think, that's something to think about. But also maybe I would think about which questions I asked based on which questions
are important.
I was willing to answer. Like, I'm not going to ask them a question I wouldn't want to answer or be comfortable answering, but it still makes me think I need to go back and I kind of examine all of those questions a little bit.
As I kind of go through the supervisees I've had, some of them were just so much more like forthcoming with like different things about the personal life. Like they would say something and then they're like, oh, well, I really enjoy rowing. I was on the rowing team in high school. And you just get a better snapshot maybe quickly where other people keep it very professional. So I think there's a balance that has to.
Yeah, I think maybe right now I start to get some of those questions answered by asking about job history and branching out a little bit just from job history. Right. But if I ask like, well, tell me about your job experience. Which one's your favorite one? What did you love about that? You start to get a little bit of that. And I think in some cases, if you look at their job history, you also get a little peek into what's happening in their lives. That they say, oh, well, I had this job and I really loved it, but I left because we got transferred. Right. Or I had a baby. Right. Or something.
Then you get a little
bit of that. Right. But you're right. There's something more that you could get from that first meeting that would be helpful or useful or create an opportunity.
Right. I'm sure this has happened to you with clients. I think it's happened to every therapist out there. You've maybe seen a client for a month or so, and then all of a sudden, maybe in the fourth or fifth session, you gain this other bit of information. You're like, if I had known that at the very beginning, like, how did I miss that one? How did that not come out?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last time that's happened, but I can think like, what? How did I not know that?
Right.
How had we never talked about that before? Yeah. It does take me back to not my very first placement in school, but I think my second placement. I did a ton of intakes.
Oh, yeah.
And that was part of the deal, that if you were going to get your hours there, they had you doing some other task, but 1 or 2 days out of every week that you were assigned to do intakes. And man, there were more than you could get done. You were never going to get finished.
Right.
Like if you sat down at 9 a.m, as quickly as you could get them done, there was another one. And everybody else hated doing that. but I got in a groove and I thought, no, I like this.
Yeah,
I can do this.
intakes.
Yeah. But I think that is a attitude that not everybody has. I know lots of my supervisees or counselors that I've known don't enjoy doing intakes, but I do.
And I think some of it's just a style. Some of it's just how your brain works, like the organization of a new event coming in and a new client coming in or whatever. So it feels.
In this context, if other people affect our mental health, we can help ourselves or help other people by having a really full picture. So that makes sense as far as supervisees to me, that if we have a good understanding of where they're coming from and the factors in their life that are important, that we can attend to those. Doesn't mean we always talk about it, but if I know, I don't know, right now I have some that they need to schedule around drop off and pick up at school. And so I just know that if I'd ask them to do that before, if I ask them to call or meet with me or do something before maybe 9:00, I definitely know that's a big ask.
It's a different schedule for them and their home life.
Right. So it's meaning not just can you do this, but I know I'm asking you to change something or compromise or do something different. So I can be thoughtful of that and try not to ask them to do anything before 9:00 or be really patient with them or thoughtful of them if I do and go like, hey, I know it's a big deal, but I need this by
this time. Yeah. I think the other thing that comes to that of fostering that understanding is also how available we are to our supervisees. Yeah. For the most part, I will tell you, I'm pretty available.
Well, let's talk about that. What do you think that means? That's our second point in the article.
I think it's about allowing the fact that you don't always have the answer, no matter how seasoned you are. Like you're fostering an understanding from our perspective, but also from a supervisee, teaching them that with your client, you need to be fostering that understanding, that you get where they're coming from.
That's kind of different than a different way than I was thinking about it. So I'm glad I asked. I was thinking, if we're thinking that this means clients, supervisees, and ourselves, fostering understanding means increasing our patience and compassion for other people.
I love that. That fits. Yep.
Yeah. Is that, do you think that's the same as what you were thinking? Or
I think mine is the prequel to that. Like the goal would be to get to that.
Okay. So then even for ourselves, we just talked a lot about getting the whole picture of our supervisees, that then fostering understanding means that when I do ask my supervisee, can you come in before 9, that means I'm already patient and compassionate when I ask that and think, I know it's
a big ask.
That's a thing for you. That's kind of hard, but I'm still asking. Or that maybe I would change that and think I can avoid having to get them to do that. So I'll do it myself because I know they're having a hard time getting to kindergarten on time these days. So maybe I won't ask them that. Right. Yeah. But so it means having the whole picture that then helps us to be patient and compassionate with ourselves, our supervisees, our clients. We haven't really talked much about ourselves. So if having the whole picture means having greater understanding, then what does that mean for us, the supervisee or the counselor?
I wouldn't answer a client's phone call from the soccer field. But if one of my supervisees calls, and I think I might have an idea of what it's about, or if I am much more readily available to answer their call, but I usually say, hey, give me a second, let me walk away. I'm at the soccer field and because what I'm saying is...
Does that mean that if they're calling you because you've got the whole picture and you have compassion for what's going on with them, that you would think, it must be important they're calling me, so I'm going to try and figure out how to do this.
It must be important that because either they know that that's where I am right now, or it must be important that this is something that came up for them that's pretty urgent.
I'm thinking maybe in all of these scenarios, me, the client, and the supervisee, that I think it would mean there are times when I can say, let's slow down. Or maybe today's not the day to do that. Or let's in some way give ourselves a break and a breather. I'm trying to think of when I do that for myself. Oh, I know. I might have a day really packed back to back, and I do have like 20 minutes that's not scheduled, and I might tell myself, oh, I can get some notes done. And then when I actually get to that window of time, I think, no, I just want to watch an episode of The Office.
Right. I don't want to do anything.
I'm going to drink water and close my eyes and listen to Jim and Pam.
Right.
That's a good use of my time that day because that's what I needed. Or maybe with a client, it means I know that they've got lots of stuff going on at home or school or wherever they go. And we happen to be talking about something really difficult.
Right.
That we might slow down and go, today was rough. That was hard. So maybe that's what we do today.
Yeah. Something that just came up as you were saying that came up in supervision a couple weeks ago was I said to a supervisee, it's okay to end your session early. And she was like very like caught off by that. And she felt like the parent would be mad. And I was like, but sometimes, especially with teenagers, that's all you're going to do for that day. Like you now hit the spot and there's going to be no more process and there's going to be no.
Yeah. That's a really good example. Cause you're right. A lot of supervisees look at you like, wait, that's against the rules.
My full 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I'm supposed to do this.
I do that a lot with really young clients that I will tell the parents right away that our goal is, or what typically the length of the session would be this long. But if we leave a little bit early, it's because this was a good stopping point, or this is what made sense, or this is what the child could do that day. And I do that. Now I'm thinking about it. I say that to the parent so that the parent doesn't scold the kid when they come out of the room too soon.
Yeah.
But I also do it for the kid. I mean, so it's partly for the kid, it's partly for the parent, but I'm also trying to model for the parent. Yeah. Some days you just leave your card at the grocery store and walk, and you just leave.
Walk out. Yeah. Cause that's okay.
Right. Or some days you're at the birthday party and it's noise overload and everybody's overwhelmed and you go, well, okay, well we had cake. And so now we're going to go. That was it. That's all,
that's time to go.
And I think that that's fostering understanding for the child, for the parent, and maybe not even in my office, but a day where they're not even there. And they've now been given permission that when you've hit your limit for the day, go home.
Right. You can say that. And it's allowed.
Okay. Our last point, rewriting unhealthy patterns. And I think we already flowed into this, talking about even like a parent or a new counselor telling them you have permission.
You have permission to do this. I think also to reflect back if we don't understand where a client's coming from, or to reflect back and say, now, what does that mean to you? That sounds like a very therapy kind of question, but you just told me that you're really, really angry, but what is that? You look really calm to me. Like, so what is that, kind of clarifying those things?
Yeah. I feel like I do that more with a supervisee, maybe even not technically a supervisee, but someone I manage or supervise at work. That maybe I did it this week. Somebody said, I knew that they were having something really big and important happening at home. And I said, how are you? And they said, fine. And I said, so now I know that you will cover things up and try and tough through it. But what I really meant was, how are things? And try it again. And she went, okay.
Right. This, and this.
So actually I'm having a hard day. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Even just saying it, but giving somebody maybe another opportunity to say do or say something different that's not the old pattern. So rewriting an unhealthy old pattern. Do you think you as the supervisor have unhealthy patterns that could be rewritten?
I think probably. I think my tendency is to get in a rut and not, we've done some other podcasts about trying things differently or like upping your game when it comes to supervision. And I think I fall into a rut. Okay, supervision was from here to here and that fits into my day this way.
Yeah, that was one of the things in the article, right? And I like that application because in the article it talked about a client. But you're right. You could get stuck in a supervision rut. And then how could you change it for yourself, your supervisee?
I realized with one of my supervisees a while ago that I was meeting right up until the time I needed to walk out the office. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm making myself crazy by doing that, thinking that, well, it's just supervision. So technically I'm writing my note during supervision most of the time and I don't need to, do anything after, but it was making me crazy because I'm like leaving the office for the day and it's 8:30 at night and I'm going, wait a minute, I don't want to do supervision at that time of day anymore. So like changing up just those little things. Yeah. A half an hour, leave yourself a half an hour of after time.
In the last couple of weeks, I had 2 teenage girl clients. I didn't feel like it was a rut, but we typically do the same thing every time. And I think they just actually noticed, separate from each other, they just noticed the sand tray in my office. And I went, why have you never noticed that before or asked about it? It's right there. But they both asked about it or touched it or something. And I said, hey, do you know what that is? We could use that. If you feel like it, I think that would be that'd be really great for you. We could really, and they both started out again, separate sessions. They don't know each other. And they both went, okay, maybe, I don't know. And they did it. And both of them went, that was cool.
Right.
I want to do that
really
again.
Into it. Yeah.
I want to do that again. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, sometimes switching it up. I think I do that too, even for myself. I don't know if I connect this with supervision all the time, but even just my own reflection that I need to do sometimes as a supervisor or as a counselor. And sometimes I'll do a sand tray on my own.
Right. Just to like process through whatever your brain has going.
Or sometimes I'll write down, it almost looks more like a to-do list, but it's just thoughts that I've had. And it is not a to-do list. There are no action steps. It's just getting it out there that I thought, oh, this person thought this, or this person needed that, or I made that connection today. Never made that connection before. That was interesting. So I do a to-do list sometimes, and that I'll write a haiku sometimes. And that's one, the pattern of the words makes you stop and think, but also if a traditional haiku is about nature. So then if I try and connect it also to nature, then it's this whole other like
connection,
has symbolism or different analogy that makes me think differently. So I think that's sometimes if I feel like I'm not working through a problem I have or a question or something I'm working on, that might be a way I
get your brain
rewrite it. So you said sometimes changing the pattern of supervision.
Right. Changing that up. I found myself even sometimes I have very limited time that I'm alone, but I will know that sometimes like when I get in the car to leave at the end of the night, it's almost like a flushing of whatever's in my brain. You write it down. I just say it out loud to the person not sitting next to me. But I think that I do that occasionally. I also will like remind myself, almost like a to-do list, but not quite, about like something for next week, right? Like, oh, do this next week. Or, wow. I've even written down before in like a side note, I keep a paper all the time going of things that I need to do. I would literally have written down, drink more water. Because in a session, I've been like totally thirsty and like my water was empty. And why I didn't get up between and get water, I don't know. Yeah. But things like that, like little tweaks literally make your day-to-day environment better.
Sure. That's what I was going to say too, is that, I mean, we sometimes take for granted that those kinds of things really do impact us, our mental health, other people. But making some changes like that can make a difference. Well, thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. You've been listening to Supervision with a Vision. Head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy Academy to join the conversation and get show notes. We'll be back next week with more Supervision with a Vision.